Pathfinder's Memory Log, Day 1. Today I hit the open road on a transport in space to meet my friend Ajay Che, but thousands of her #1 fans call her Lifeline. The message I found gave me the first patch of clues that I think can lead to my creator. There was one clue that looked familiar, and that's Chevrex. After having my life saved a number of times by Ajay's heel drone dog, I remember reading its system signature as Chevrex Inc. Maybe she can help. Hey, maybe she's my creator. Clue box. Transmission clues, Chevrex, something to do with Lifeline's heel drone, the future of the Outlands, Dr. Amelia Pa, the event, Alekin, Iris, self-motivation quote searching, one result found, only a life saved from others is a life worthwhile. Albert Einstein, hello Lifeline, it's so fun to meet you while neither of us is fighting. Lifeline, thank you. Not a problem, my sweet metal friend. Oh, you can call me AJ, that's why they call me Ajay Che. Boom boom. Wow, I didn't know you had a name. I only been around for 4 years, but cool AJ. It ain't often that us legends get to chat about some things that don't involve the games, haha, or Mirage. It's always just boasting about wins, reminiscing about those who couldn't make it past the first ring, or egging each other while we wait for the drop. I remember the first time crypto came on board. Never seen anybody shut up Mirage so quickly. Yes, my best friend does talk a lot. I love that. Right, so what brings you my way? Need some patching up? Someone hurt? I don't know. It's possible that my creators hurt. I haven't heard from them ever. Still on the search, huh? Respect, brother. To each their own, I guess. I wish I was more like you and didn't know my family. Of course, I wasn't always this way. I gotta be grateful. I guess in some way, I had everything I needed, everything I wanted, but at some big cost. That's the Chevrex way. Chevrex? I saw that on your drone, in a recording. I heard about my creator. I can't believe everything we went through with my parents, and it led y'all right back here. Of course, it's on dock. That's where we both came from. My family owns Chevrex Inc., which I used to believe focused on the safety and security. That's how they sold themselves to potential clients. It didn't matter who they were or which side they were on. Chevrex made them feel like they just had the right support to give. The people of the Outlands didn't know much about the support, and I don't blame them. Because of times of war, you'll take all your support you can get. It's been in the family for generations, but it was my parents who really took that thing to nowhere pretty. To them, the wars ain't nothing but a paycheck. I heard about the wars ever since I woke up, but no one has really told me about them. It ain't exactly the most fun topic to chat about, unless you're Bangalore. I bet that girl could go all day. Of course, she's not in the best side of history, not to say there's actually a good side, but it ain't no secret that the INC had some bad part in all 4 wars. Corporate wars, Titan Wars, Frontier War, and even the Civil War out of here in the Outlands, though they didn't even break a sweat in that one. Whoa, those are a lot of wars. How's anybody still alive? I ask myself that every day, Pat. These wars go back quite some time too. All about power, all about greed. When I found out my family company was profiting from the Frontier War, I spent the next year teaching myself everything there was to know about what started this whole deadly thing, I guess. Chevrex Inc. Chevrex Inc. was originally founded in 2445 as an Old Logic, one of the first companies established in the frontier. Opening as a small shop in the harbor district of Angel City on planet Angelia, Old Logics provided services to local businesses through repairing, updating, and programming electronics and robotics. Throughout the generations, the company evolved with its surrounding, developing and specializing in drone technology while expanding beyond Angelia, proudly forming a partnership with the Kodai industry. All Logic supply every colonized planet in the frontier with the #1 product, security monetization system, SMS drones, which function as security cameras, motion detectors, and communication and recording devices. As the IMC expanded beyond the frontier into the Outlands, All Logic was first in the line to support those citizens who undertook the yearly-long expedition to the unexplored region. Today, the All Logic Outlands chapter, Chevrex Inc., supplies the Outlands with more than 100 outlets and its flagship factory on the beautiful planet of Samate. You could say that I was trying to convince myself that what my parents were doing was something good, but it didn't really turn out the way I hoped. Maybe that's how Hammond himself would feel if he saw this place today. Hammond? I've heard of Hammond Robotics. Maybe he's my creator. You want to stop back there, huh? Give this a scan. It's all I found during my research for the truth. Wow, a lot has happened in 700 years. You don't say. It's always measured by wars though. After the militia took power, there was a final battle at the last IMC controlled planet, Gridiron. And what happened next? Well, ain't no one really knows. It's a mystery? I have a lot of those. I'm sure someone knows, but they ain't talking out loud. Anita's probably the closest. I'm sure she can fill you in. But oh, I really learned what there was a blackout cut off all communications through the frontier. That was all over a decade or so ago. No one really knows what happened, except maybe for Anita. But even when she was definitely affected by it, we all know is that one day everything stopped. All the beacons in the IMC building through the frontier went down just like that. One big blackout. Those who supported the militia were promised refuge, but no one came. The militia abandoned those people. They were no better than the IMC. Those poor people in the frontier were toyed with both sides. That's why it's hard to say who actually is good, you know. Plenty of people care for the militia, but plenty didn't. Plenty didn't care much for the IMC either. It's hard to trust anybody who promised you everything. The IMC promised them safety and security, and they took all they had and left. The militia promised safety and security, and then they depleted all they had and disappeared. You can only promise what you can promise. There are limits, which is something the Frontier Corps taught me. You see, they step in when both sides were gone. They helped with the greater migration of those who left stranded in the frontier and brought them right here to the Outlands. Now, I'm not an expert on the Outlands. You can probably get more out of Gibby, Natalie, or your best friend Wit. I love him. Yeah, we know you do. So if you're looking for more info on those whole area, you chat with them. But as for me, I grew up in Samate. In that place, well, it's a little more secluded than the other planets. I worked on Samate once. I was a cook at a restaurant in Olympus. Fine dining district. No way, you worked at Temi? I used to go there all the time when I was little. But you know how expensive that place is. And that's the real problem with my family. We were rich. Sure, that wealth led to pretty sweet upbringing. How many people do you know they had a currency named after them? But having a Ajay coin didn't really matter when I found out where that money actually came from. Oh no, it didn't come from happiness, did it? Because that would be great. Afraid not. It was definitely no birthday party, I'll tell you that much. But it was a party. I spent the early part of my life in a gown. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked it. I looked good. I ate the best food in the parties. They were something else. I did have a good time. My parents used to throw these gay lists for the rich friends at least once a month. I didn't know at that time what the point of this party was. I just knew that I was there to look my best and entertain the kids. The Silvas used to come all the time. The Octane Silvas? You two had an interesting friendship. Yeah, right, Pat. Interesting in one word. Octavio Silva or Octane. Now that he's a legend, his family was friends with my family. The two of us have known each other for a good time now. His parents didn't do business with mine, they just friends. The wealthy on Samate tend to run in the same circle, and we ran in some circles. We went to the same private schools, the same friends, birthday parties, the same everything. It was on fine back then. But when I changed, I guess everything changed, and it was the party when it all went down, when trust broke. I think I was 19. It was another monthly gala with the people from Solis to the now Fringe Worlds, but the first time my parents were celebrating the opening of Chevrex Inc. new drum facility on Olympus. It was sort of a big deal, but none of that stuff ever interests me, which was probably why it all just happened under my nose. Wow, so you and Octane have always been like this. Huh, I guess you could say we were back in the day. Even after I found out the truth about my parents and left that life, Silva was the only one I kept in touch with. Although he was trapped with his family's wealth, he was not too bad at living his own life. He had a massive following on the feed and traveled all over the Outlands to thrill competitors. It's because of him and that I have a chance to leave, and he knew why I wanted to. The night of the party, the two of us stumbled upon the truth. That night I saw that Chevrex was actually due. That's the night I learned who my parents really were. War profiteers. I was embarrassed, angry. I was changed. After that night, Silva was heading to Solis for a gauntlet competition and offered to bring me along. I wasn't ready to face my parents. I was disgusted with them and with myself, but most of all, I didn't know who I really was anymore. I figured maybe the trip would do me some good. I packed up a few things and we chartered the first ship off the planet. I'd never been into Solace up until that point. Can you believe that? I sheltered myself, I mean. Why would I ever want to leave my home and everything I own? Silva left because the kid got bored easily, but me, I thought I had it all. I was wrong, and Solace City shoved that in my face pretty quickly. I remember the first thing we did was stop to the Paradise Lounge for a beverage. I never gone into a place like that for any reason, but that old me was wrong and gone. A new start. It was time to... Paradise Lounge? It's Elliot's bar. I've been there. Right, so you know why we barely took 2 steps in before turning around. That place smelled like old boots and Sweetwater. We didn't want to take the chance to catch, well, anything. Luckily, there was a music joint not far from that place. We sort of followed the sound. It was faster and carried much more edge than what we were used to on Samate. Well, at least more than I was used to. Silva always sought out new things like that. He could never sit still. Boredom is his greatest fear. I guess that's why he got such an exciting personality, which is probably why everybody was friends with him, like the musician playing near the Paradise Lounge. Apparently, Silva did a racing competition on Gia one year where his band performed. It worked out for me because they left me in an awe. The musicians, they were just like their music, raw, edgy, and real. To tell you the truth, Path, I didn't even know what a t-shirt was before then. I was used to gowns and dresses, but it was like a new life, so it was time for a new look. I bought a t-shirt with the band's name on it, the Flyer Liars. For someone who just started to lose trust in everybody, it just felt right to fall with the crew. I ended up staying behind with the band while Silva continued with his competition. He cared and still cares a lot about his fans, so he had no problem moving on without me. I went on the road with the band for a bit, mostly around Solace. Karen, KK, cool. She coded therapeutic, so I figure I'll pick up some sticks and give it a try. I loved it. Not saying it was my calling or anything, but big things came from that moment. I started a new life. I fiddled in on the drums every now and then. When KK couldn't manage a gig, I'd say about half a year went by and still didn't have spoken to my parents. It wasn't until the band got booked on Samate, some sort of relief fundraiser for those lower class people who would never have come close to the affording just the scraps at 10me. These were the type of people I never even knew existed because of my upbringing, and probably because of my ignorance too. But like I said, I was changed, and I saw it all now. I saw those in need. I saw those struggling while the wealthy paraded around making things worse for everybody else. I was seeing those people who had lived just around the corner from me my entire life without me ever bothering to look at them. That made me finally get the guts to say a word or two to my parents, and I did. I went home and faced them. I told them that I didn't want anything to do with the family's money anymore. They didn't really understand, but I didn't expect them to, eh? And now I see that in the time I've been gone, they gone to the opposite of what I hoped. They dropped straight down the rabbit hole. I hope they realize how far gone they are before it's too late. I hope it wasn't too late for me. You're a legend like me. Nah, Pap, I'm not a legend. I'm just trying to do my part. That's what I told my parents I wanted to do. I'm sure they thought I just wanted to run away, play drums, probably even give up, come back home. Wasn't a crazy thought. It's hard to forget where you came from. I did, right? But you still want to know. There's probably something inside you that still remembers. Not sure how you program. I know my little dog got himself a permanent memory processor, a Chevrex ink special. My parents put a PBM on everything so everybody knows where the production came from. No one could wipe that brand. They weren't even hiding the fact that they were playing both sides. I get that's what fame and power does to ya. That's why I wanted the opposite. I packed up everything I could, a few t-shirts, some pictures, and Doc. I couldn't go anywhere without her, and I left at home and that life for good. Made my way back to the Flyer Liars show. I still remember that feeling I had off. Well, it ain't loneliness and it ain't exactly fear. I think it was just empty feeling. I want to say there was excitement, but there wasn't. I was still missing something. Like I said, that show was a fundraiser for the poor folks of Samate, but what I didn't say, it was run by the Frontier Corps. How about that, Pat? I left home to find my place, only to have it look for me at home. Not saying you should stop looking for your creator or anything, but it's just nice to think that maybe what you're looking for is waiting for you one way or another. I hope so. That's why I joined the Apex games. If my creator is looking for me, then maybe they will see me fight or on a banner. That would be really cool. I'm sure it'll be something else. Change like that is good for you. I know it was for me. It's funny. I joined the corps to help people, but it helped me. I spent years working for the corps. I put the lives of those in need ahead of my own. One person who I helped reached out in not too long ago, which was sweet, a mercenary vet who now calls himself my #1 fan. Quite the honor, and I owe it to the corps. We travel all over the Outlands, even to the fringe worlds. We had no restrictions at those who could be helped. We weren't part of the syndicate or the treaty, so we didn't have to abide by any constraints. A treaty? I bet Gibraltar or Wick could probably give you some more information on that. I was too young in my own world on Samathis, so I'm not an expert on that stuff. I heard that in the Civil War ended the Outlands with some sort of treaty. It was about 10 years ago, so 27-23. Those who didn't sign became the fringe worlds, and those poor folks had it even harder getting support from the trade or whatever else they needed. That's where we came in. The corps did what it could with donations and support for whoever wanted the help, but it definitely hit a money problem. Nothing like that could last forever. I hope nothing lasts forever, otherwise that will mean my search may never end. Oh, then everything does. That's something I need to come to terms with, because when the corps started losing money, my first thought was to call my parents. That sounds like might have been a bad idea. You're right, after knowing who they were, after knowing what the money came from, I couldn't. I knew they had it, and I knew that money would have been a huge help, but I couldn't reach out to them. But isn't that what family's for? Families ain't always as good as they're supposed to be. I knew who they were, Pat. That's important. It was important to me, just like how it was important to you. Whoever your creator is, they're a piece of you, and whatever that's good or bad, you got to decide how to deal with it. I decided how to deal with it mine, and that was to risk my own life for that money. That's why I joined the games. I knew I was risky, dangerous. I even knew that what I was doing wasn't honorable. Fighting people for money. It was a dilemma, but people were counting on me. Those fighters were gonna fight with or without me, so I figured I better put my medical training to some use for them while making money for the corps. I think it's honorable. I always looked up to you, AJ, even though I'm taller. No way! That's really nice of you, Pat. I'm sure there's some truth to that somewhere. I don't think about it much. I just do what I do because I need to. It ain't much more complicated than that. That's what I'm doing. I just want to find my creator, even if they are bad. Nah, Path, they can't be bad. I don't think you got a bad circuit in your entire body. And even if they are, that don't really mean you are. That's what I learned from my family. Actually, Silva was the first one to say it. He may not seem like it, but he's a smart one. Crazy but smart. It's great that you two are such good friends. I love friends. We've had good months and our bad months, but we always find a way to get back to each other. True, family always does. I bet he'll say the same. Exciting. I'll ask him. I'm sure you'll come across him in the quest of yours. I'm sorry I can't give you all the info you want. I wish I could. It will be nice to know what my parents' company had to do with your creator, but whatever it's good or bad, never forget who you are. I won't, unless my memory gets wiped like before. That happens, they'll tell you who you are. Till then, your best chance is to stick to the Outlands, the Chevrex Inc. Name only started in this part of the galaxy, so if they had anything to do with your creator, then they're here. That's great or no. Thank you, friend. Not a problem. We got some solid legends who know more than a thing or two about the Outlands, Gibraltar, Mirage, and even Wraith, though that one's a bit of a head case. Good luck. Data points received. Chapter 2, Gibraltar.
Still music keeps on turning me from the words that hurt my soul, removing doubts from my mind. Those long days passing by from the door, like late summer, they slowly fade away, finding ways through the favorite tune played all day with my eyes.